hope that the iPhone is sending a wake-up signal and that we'll get the other carriers to start thinking, at least relaxing some of the limits. Some of the frustrating stuff there is that some of the decisions are just absolutely arbitrary. Like, I have complete respect for people that make a design trade-off and say, we're going to make a really cheap piece of hardware, broadens the market, and will do what people need, and I won't complain and say this is underpowered because it's aimed at a particular market. But there are some really completely arbitrary things like the maximum download size. And again, as I mentioned before, a lot of these modern phones have lots of flash on them. You can do big games, but we're limited to this 2.5 megs or less, and we only got that by kind of twisting some of the carriers' arms by saying, look, on the Verizon system, it looks awesome because they've got this much download, and here's what it looks like on your system with a 300K download. And Spring in particular opened up with Orxinels 2 based on that. We're going to try and twist Singular and T-Mobile's arms with Wolf RPG here, where we could say, here's what it looks like, again, on your competitor. Here it is on maybe the iPhone at a 10 megabyte download limit. And especially in AT&T's case, it's the same network. You download a 10 megabyte game on the iPhone, and you can download a 600K game on a singular phone. And it just makes no sense at all. We hope that we can get that relaxed and kind of improve things there. And there's a lot of still interesting things going on looking forward, where we can look and say, iPhone is obviously significant, but it's not going to take over the world. There's not going to be a billion iPhones going out everywhere in China and India and all that. So the other carriers and the other platforms are still important, and they may wind up, when you look at the numbers there are these exciting things to say that there could wind up being more people playing games on the mobile phone platforms than on all the other platforms put together, when you do wind up finally getting good commercial infrastructure and the right hand-me-down set of hardware going into the massive markets of China and India. So we still care about a lot of things there. The carriers are an impediment. They don't really understand gaming. There's lots of arbitrary stuff going on there. It is interesting to think about things like Google's Android, which as a platform, it has no traction at all right now. There's no hardware devices. But obviously Google has a significant amount of muscle, and if they do wind up with one of their carrier partners, like T-Mobile or whoever, bringing something out, we'll at least be looking at that. Their preferred distribution method is still Java. It's transcoded, so it's not quite as interpreted slow, but it's still not what you want to be developing a resource-limited game with. But we certainly hope that it will be possible to download native applications like we have with Brew there. We still have... It was interesting with the Wolfenstein on here, where early on there was a plan to do a Symbian version, as Nokia is kind of a strange situation where they dominate outside the United States, but they really aren't significant here, and that's kind of a play-by-ear situation there. But we should be wrapping this up this year. Fingers crossed, we're hoping to have the game available across all the main platforms around the end of the year, but that's not completely positive yet. A lot of that winds up being an importing process. We make 4 versions that we deliver, high and low in Brew, high and low in Java, and then we give it to the EA Mobile people, and they make literally like 3 or 4 or more hundred versions of the game. Most of the time it's not much, it's just setting some configuration parameters, but a lot of times it's working around quirks of different devices, the firmware poorly implemented on some phones, having to work around different stuff there. And that definitely takes a little while. But we're hoping that gets done pretty soon. And then we are going to roll into a Doom RPG 2. And that will be fun because a lot of people, when we look back over the last few projects, Doom RPG, it got a lot for it because it was the name, it was novel, nobody had seen anything like this before on the cell phone, and it had its moments inside the game. But we've really cranked up the quality of the products a lot on the intervening ones, coming back to that evolutionary pace that we can do on there. And the next one should be really pretty cool. We're looking forward to doing that, almost having at least a SKU going over the high end on the iPhones, and that's probably going to be keeping us busy on the mobile side through much of next year. So coming on to the next business division with Quake Live, it's interesting, the whole story behind this, where last year here we announced it was Quake 0 at the time. This was an idea that had been born mere weeks before Quakecon, and we just decided that, okay, it's going to be something that we do. And here we are being a little flippant haphazard about it. I get up and I talk about it here, and some domain squatter goes and grabs some of the internet names out there. And they offered us a considered buyout option for it. We just decided, heck, we're only a month into the development of this. We're just going to change the name rather than paying a little blackmail money. So we don't think that hurt anything. There's still, even today though, talking with one of the press people on there was still the Quake 0 comment, and it is Quake Live now, and we are rolling through different beta stages here. And it's always good to take some of these little moments of humility where we were thinking that it was going to be a 6-month development project, and a lot of that was, the gaming side of it really was, what stuff we had to do inside there. But the hubris of game developers were like, this web development stuff can't be all that tough. And that has been the thing which really has been the driving factor on the project there, about making sure that all the crap that web developers know about, making it work on all the different platforms, all the different OS versions and everything. We're working our way through that. We brought on some new people that had some of that experience. We are working with some other contractors in different capabilities there. And we're ramping the beta up slowly because we just know that we're not prepared for all the issues when we kind of throw the floodgates wide open. The pace is, Marty's bringing on 1,000 new people every day or week or something. It's ramping up, but we'll be going into a more open beta soon. I do hope that everyone here does give Quake Live a try. Try it here at Quakecon. Just do Quake Live in your browser. We don't have the matchmaking and stuff running here. The crowd's probably too small for all of this, but we are collecting all of the statistics. So there will be a leaderboard there. You'll be able to see the Quake Live leaderboard at the end of Quakecon, how everyone's doing. And we'll learn a lot from it. This is going to be a good crowd of people doing a lot of dedicated gaming. We are collecting a crazy amount of statistics on just all sorts of different things. And the idea is to have all the data and then decide what we want to do with it. We're going to have a lot of different things with achievements and rewards, different things that we can have with styles of leaderboards, different types of things, sponsored tournaments. Lots and lots of things are open to us. But Quake Live is still very much in this somewhat far-out experimental idea phase, where the mobile stuff, I can look back and say, okay, this was a good plan. We're making money on it. It's a good business decision on here. Quake Live is still in that. It's not clear yet whether it turns out to be a good idea or not a good idea there. We still have the fallback positions where, even from the very beginning, I was saying, what if we take a 9-year-old game, we put it out there, we spruce it up, what if nobody shows up? What if you go ahead and you do all of that, you're relying on in-game advertising supporting, sponsorship supporting, and what if you wind up with 50,000 users? Because we're looking at the numbers, and Quake Arena still, it's amazing that you would get 1,000-something people playing at times on the game with the ancient boxed game on there, with whatever add-on improved versions. So we know that there's a decent-sized community of people there that are still playing the original game. And we certainly think that we could wind up enhancing this to bring in lots more people. So my early estimations, we had these incredible error bars when we're trying to make a business case here. Will we have 50,000 people, 500,000 people, or 5 million people? And a credible case could have been made for any of them. And it's just, some business people will try and make you believe that they know have a little bit more information than they actually do, but we're groping in the dark with 2 orders of magnitude there. So it was a real relief for me when we opened up to sign up for the beta testing on there, and we got 100,000 people signing up really quickly with no real promotion on there. So that meant I was able to check off the 50,000 people. That we weren't going to wind up with 50,000 users. The fact that we have well over 100,000 people signed up, at this point, sight unseen for the most part, is the gratifying turn of events. I think that helps a lot on here, since we're spent twice as much time on the game as we initially thought we were going to. But Quake Live is really special for me in that it was always my original favorite game at id. I like the purity of the game. And it's unfortunately true that you just can't do a $50 box game that's that pure. For sensible reasons. That's a lot of money. People expect a $20, $30+ million game development budget when you go out and you buy a brand new box game. And that's just the reality of what the media-heavy AAA title market is. And we're pushing that with Rage and with Doom. But there's the, it's a little bit saddening when you have to do everything and the kitchen sink just because it's expensive.